welcome everybody to another episode of Dela's Voice. We have a live audience here. I'm so excited. Thank you.
We're excited.
I know, it's awesome. Just to let you know that 6 months ago, I had my first Dela's Voice. I know, it's crazy. 6 months ago already. And but this is a whole new Dela's Voice. This is amazing. This is exciting. I'm so glad you guys are here. I will introduce my beautiful guests today, Jean-Luc and Nick, a.k.a. the WW Gays.
And it's okay to say that.
Yes.
Oh,
Just want to make sure people realize
get
that.
questions.
Times are different
Oh,
now.
yeah. Well, even
Right?
though times even aren't different today in today's age, that word gay, some people are so afraid to
say
use
it.
it and say it.
Yeah. So
They think it's derogatory for some
Yeah.
reason, and it's like,
people that have actually told us when they hear that we're coming, like, are we allowed to
are we
say
allowed to
that?
call you that? Because we're not part of the community, and we're like,
It says it on our shirts.
our
so
shirts say it, so you can't go WW. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm so happy you're here.
We're happy to be
The
here.
WW I'm okay with saying that. I love you guys.
Oh, we
Thank
love you.
so much for being here. The reason I asked you guys on Dela's Voice was because I love your honesty, and I love the way you come out, and you're so genuine, and you're so true, you're so authentic, and you're so vulnerable, and it just makes my heart sing. The way you talk about your journey, the way you go around into every studio and just share your story with people and make them believe that the dream is possible. And you've brought so much awareness to wellness, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Wellness.
That's awesome.
Is-
That's
That's
yeah.
what we talk about all the we just left a workshop this morning talking about the same
Yeah.
thing.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's so funny because wellness encompasses so many things now. You know, back in the day when you heard the word wellness, you only thought about working out and being at a gym. That's what wellness, like that portrayal of what wellness meant. And it means so much more because it has nothing to do with just being at a
We
gym
always-
or being fit and having muscles. Because wellness is
Yeah.
just your entire being.
Yeah.
It's who
So
you
what
are.
does it mean to you? What does
We-
wellness look like?
For me, we always talk about like mind, body, and soul. We feel like it's a combination of all three being in sync, and that you explore all three aspects of your life in terms of mind, body, and soul. And so for us, wellness means making sure all three are in line and you're doing well in all three and you're taking care of all three aspects.
And sometimes what you need to do is focus in on one of those aspects and not all three at the same time
Yeah.
because you don't want to overwhelm yourself when it comes to
Yeah.
wellness, right?
Because there's so much information out there.
So much information out there, so much good information and bad information at
Yeah.
the same time, right? So you always want to make sure that you're looking up stuff that fits in your life and fits as part of what you are doing in your journey.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as a cookie cutter wellness
No.
guide,
And the
right?
thing is, like, we even tell people all the time, like, what worked for him does not necessarily work for me. There's a lot of stuff that we, even ourselves, a lot of people tell us,
Yeah.
you're guys, you lose weight easier.
And you're doing it together, so it must be so easy. And
But it's like we're very different in our weight loss, and the way our wellness is very different. I don't lose weight the same way he does. I have to do different things than he does. We've had to kind of combine both of our needs into one plan that works for both of us because he knows that I need certain things to make it work for me, and he
And
needs
vice
certain
versa.
things vice versa, and we work together to make sure that we work on it together all the time.
So you've been through this journey for a while now, right?
Long
Since, like,
time.
birth.
Right. I mean, there's never an expiry date to
No.
our wellness journey, but
No.
you started a while back,
Yeah.
and so what wellness looked like to you back then in those days, how is it different from what it looks like today?
I can start on that. Wellness did not exist back
No.
then.
We
It was
never-
not even a part of my life. I
No.
never even thought of it back then. I never thought it was important. I thought,
No.
oh, I'm young.
And we thought we
I can
were
do
healthy
everything I want.
sometimes.
Yeah, we thought we were healthy.
Yeah, sometimes we're like, oh yeah, we eat healthy. We
We
eat broccoli. That we're healthy.
Yeah.
but-
Or we work out, but it wasn't workout. We walk around enough. We,
Yeah.
socialize with friends. That's good enough,
But we never had really a sense of wellness. It wasn't until, and even we've been doing WW for a long time. Even the first 2 times we did it, it was not about wellness.
It was never
always-
about wellness.
It was about looking good, about
Fitting
the
society's mold.
of
Yes.
what we need to
Yes.
look like. And eventually that never worked.
I know.
Because every time that was our why, we never succeeded. And this time when we actually came onto it, and we realized the whole mind, body, and soul thing recently because
Yeah.
we kind of been revisiting a lot of stuff from the last 2 years, and that aspect of the mind especially was very important this time for us because we never thought that was the most important thing, and it is
The
most
mental
important
health aspect of this whole wellness journey is the key to success.
thing. We always think there's a click, and we feel like we had a click go off this time. Something clicked in our head to make us like, oh, I can still have that, but I don't need to have it every day. And that kind of changed our mentality because we were always in the mindset that we're always fully on or fully off. So either we're on track, we're not having chips ever, we're not eating cake, nothing.
We're working out all the
not
time.
working out all the time, or we're off. We're eating wherever we want. We go to the gym, we don't do anything.
And we
Oh,
sit down
yeah.
and eat couch
I think
potatoes.
a lot of people can relate to that. Can you relate to that, audience? Right? Yeah.
And it's finding that middle ground.
You can do both at the same time. It doesn't have
Finding
to be all or the
balance.
other.
Yeah, and we really now have focused on living an 80-20 lifestyle. 80% of the time we're on track. We're doing what we need to do to stay healthy. But 20% of the time we're living life and enjoying it and not making ourselves feel guilty about it. That's a
big.
huge part.
That's
Is so many people feel guilty about that 20%. And they feel, I can't do that, I can't do that. And what happens when you say you can't? You want it even more.
Or you sabotage yourself. You say you have it once, and you're like, oh, I had it once. Might as well just this week doesn't count anymore, and then the rest of the week I'll have everything I want: chips, cake, candy, ice cream, and you just go crazy. And then you realize you just undid all this work you've done before for that one little mistake you did. Where if you had done that one little, not even a mistake, that one indulgence you made, if you just went back the next day and just focused back again, that would have been a blip in the entire process. And we never realized that. We were always full on for full off, and that's
We are
changed.
finally balanced.
Yeah,
let's
balance
say.
now. Yeah.
You make this journey look so adventurous.
It is.
Right? They make it look so much fun. Like you guys make this look easy.
It's so funny that you say that because
it's not. It's not. It's not.
But it's something that we never thought we were able to do before either.
Yeah.
Being two people who used to weigh over 270 pounds each.
Yeah.
Where
He had to say each.
yeah, each. Yeah.
Not together.
Not together, but each. We used to weigh over 270 pounds each.
Yeah.
And comparing our lives then to what we are able to do now is
Now.
mind-boggling to
There's
even
stuff
us.
I've done now in my 30s that I couldn't do in my teens.
Like what? Like
A
what?
push-up. Like I literally a push-up. Like I used to be able to. I would do one and I toppled the ground. I was almost 300 pounds, so it's a lot of weight to lift. But now I can anytime I can go down and do a push-up. I can do 10 in a row and there's no issues now because I can do a plank challenge for 4 minutes. Like I can do things that I've never been able to do before in my 30s that I should have been able to do in my teens and my 20s, but I just never. That mentality of what it is to be a balanced lifestyle was not there at that time. It's funny because my mom has come up, even your mom has come up to us and say, "I'm so sorry I didn't." I'm like, "Mom, it's not
your fault."
Like we.
What's
grew
she
up-
saying sorry
She's
for?
apologizing for us becoming as big as we were. Like both of our parents.
They feel
do that.
guilty.
They feel guilty. They think that's their fault that we became the way we are. I'm like, Mom, you did what you could. You were like our family was not we didn't have a lot of money, so my parents had to buy a lot of processed foods, things that craft dinner, pasta, and so we grew up on that. And so it's not her fault that this happened. It was the circumstances of our lives. And so now as we've grown older and we've realized our mistakes, even afterwards when we're still going through the rest of our life, we were still eating the same foods we had been eating as kids. So we thought, this is what we were raised on. This is what we're supposed to do because we thought parents know everything. And then we realized, like, no, maybe not. And even my mom has changed her mentality on stuff. She's learned new things from us as well. And she's also lost weight. She's not a WWE member. She always tells us that. And she always tells us that. I did it on my own. And like, she's always proud of that. I did it on my own. And
But we know she followed a lot of our tips and
Yeah.
tricks.
so she's like
Your
an
recipe.
incognito.
We know
Yeah, she's like an incognito WWE
We
member.
finally convinced her that when we finally spoke to her, we were just on a cruise with her, and we're like, Mom, we know how to work you now. We make it think like it's your idea,
Yeah.
but we
Eventually
know we're the
she
one
comes
that
around.
we
Plant the
fed you, we
seed.
planted the seed. So,
Yeah.
but it's so funny too because we talk about wellness and we talk about how wellness is always food, but it's so again not just food. Like mental health is one of the biggest parts of this wellness
let's
journey.
talk about that. That's one of my favorite subjects.
And it's part of the journey that changes all the time.
Yeah.
And you have your ups and downs, you have your struggles, and I think
It's all led from here.
and it's all led from there. And I think then your heart tries to lead you sometimes, and sometimes you need to believe what your heart says, not what your mind
Yeah.
says sometimes. I think it goes both ways a little
Yeah.
bit. It's your heart and your mind need to follow suit. They need to be in sync. But sometimes one will tell you to do one thing, but then your heart or gut will tell you to do something else. Sometimes you need to trust your gut.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to trust a change.
Yeah.
Because doing the same thing over and over again isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we know that, right?
Uh-huh.
We know that.
Yeah.
Because we have to learn to be more flexible because there's so many changes all the time.
Yeah.
And changes
Just
are
in
good
life.
sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, changes are great actually. What ends up happening with a change, I find, is you end up learning so much more about yourself and you learn so much more about your surroundings when you're willing to adapt
We're very
and
big on
accept change.
We're very big on accepting change because we realize that that's what life is about. So we try. Like I even told him at one point. Like, at one point, when we first started doing. I was just talking about it earlier, but we started social media. He was like Instagram. Like he could not figure it out. And Twitter.
Sorry, Instagram people.
Even worse, he could not figure it out. And then, but now he knows how to use them. But if he would have been reluctant to try new things or change, he wouldn't be where he is today. And we're both always like, even this new one, the new one that came out called TikTok. Like
Oh my God!
I'm on it. I've looked at it because I don't want to be one. I never want to be one of those people that says, "Oh, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to."
Yeah.
I want to at least know what it is and
Yes.
try it out.
And then
so
make
I-
the decision on if I want to
afterwards.
continue
Yeah.
using something like that or not.
I
But
never wanna
that
be one of
comes
those-
to do with
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what ends up happening is with every single opportunity that you face in your life, you need to make that decision. Does it fit into where I'm at currently in my life? Sometimes you get presented an opportunity or you get presented something to you, and it might not be at that point in time that you need to take that opportunity and go with it. Sometimes you might need to put it off to the side
And come back.
and
to it.
come back to it eventually. But never look back on an opportunity that you did take and maybe failed at. There's no such thing as failure because it's
No.
all about positivity. So when you fail, what do? You actually learn
up.
from something.
And we get back up and try again.
It's a whole learning process. And then you try it again or say, yeah, guess what? This is not working for me right now.
I'll
I
try
need to
this
try
instead."
something different.
Yeah.
And never discourage ourselves. I think
Yeah.
that's a huge
A
part
big,
of
a
this.
big part, like we tell this on our tour when we visit workshops, is we live with positivity. If anything that we do could have a negative outcome, we do not do it. And an example we always use is we always used to, back in the day, we always set goals, weight goals, and dates. So we'd say July 1st, I need to lose 30 pounds. And then we get to that date, and then we lost 29.6, and we'd be so mad at ourselves for missing that 0.4. Instead of celebrating the 29.6 we lost. And we realize this about ourselves. And so now,
And
we
what
no
does
longer-
that do to your mental health when
Oh
you're
my
when you're not even celebrating what you succeeded at? You're negating everything you've accomplished
for that
for that
point- little
small
minute-
little amount.
Yeah. And so we've stopped doing that. We don't set goals now or do anything that could have a negative outcome. We always make sure that no matter what happens at the end of that goal, it'll be positive no matter what.
Yeah.
And
Even if we, I hate to use the word fail, but even if we didn't succeed as to what we
We still
exactly
tried.
wanted, at least we tried.
Yeah.
And it's something that we never would have done
Right?
before.
And
Yeah.
look at how many things you've learned in the process.
Hey, I went
Yeah.
cross-country skiing last year, which I never thought I would put a pair of skis on. I've done things that I've never done before. Like,
Yeah.
we went on a helicopter ride in Aruba last year, which we never thought we were able to do that because of our weight. Because there's a weight restriction on helicopters. You have to weigh less than 250 pounds. And we were now finally at a weight where we could do it. We were both in our 180s
let
and
me caveat,
170s.
the tour operator had a weight limit. You can be on a helicopter
Yeah,
way more because
yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody's like, well, I can never be on a helicopter.
No.
The tour itself had a weight
Because
restriction.
there were 6 people allowed on the helicopter,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And so,
So
when,
they
when we showed up, they
the pilot goes, okay, I need the 2 thinnest people to sit in the front of the helicopter, and both of us were at the front, and we both turned around looking for the
Who's
2
gonna be-
thinnest people, and he was actually talking about us,
yeah,
which
and-
threw us off completely.
Yeah.
We were like, thin? Us? What?
Yeah.
You know? So it goes to show you that your brain sometimes plays
Doesn't catch
tricks
up.
on you.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I still to this day when I walk somewhere and if I walk, it still happens. If there's 2 chairs or something like I have to walk between, I still always stop, because back in the day I used to always like, can I fit here? Do I have to go sideways? Can I walk? And now even with I've lost all my weight, I still walk up to these situations and still like, can I fit? And even clothes. We'll walk into the store. Oh, I won't fit in this size 34, and you put, all right, I do fit in these. That mental game because it's
What
always.
is that?
It's like it doesn't, or your brain just doesn't want to accept.
Yeah.
I
good
think what it
things or
is too
something.
is you were so used to seeing yourself because again, looking at myself for 40 years of my life, I was this bigger person. That's who I was for 40. This is very new to me.
Yeah.
Being at this size, this weight, it's a
Our
whole
faces
new
are completely different than
mental
any face
state.
that we've ever had.
and learning to accept yourself.
Do you believe it still?
Do I believe that it's happened?
Yeah.
I believe it's happened, but my brain sometimes plays tricks on me still that makes me not believe it's happening, because we still sometimes wake up, oh, I'm so fat today, which we know we aren't compared to what we were before, but it's like ingrained in us to always, and I think I see some shakes of heads, like it's like for some reason we can't forget those negative thoughts, and we try not to, like if I say to you like, no, you're not, hun, like we'll try to help each other out, but it still happens.
And I think by being accountable for what we did in the past and still saying, guess what? We can't forget where we were. We can't forget what we did to make ourselves that way. Because we are the only people, us as individuals, are the only people that can control what we put in our mouths, what we do as activity, how we move. No one can do it but yourself. And you have to be willing to put in the work in order to make it happen.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put in the work,
it's not
going to happen. Someone's telling you to go do that class or go eat that kale. I always use kale for some reason, but it's one of those things that's it's not going to happen unless you want the change. You need to be willing to make the change.
You can keep the kale.
I love it, so I'll eat it all.
Sean always hears kale and he goes, meh.
So goat food, sheep food. I love it.
I love it too.
Not me.
So at what point did you start taking ownership and saying, okay, this is my life now, it's time for me to take ownership of what I've done to myself?
It was the health scares.
Yeah, it was the health scare. So we, like we said, we always did the program before because we wanted to look good. But the last time was the first time where we realized that our health was starting to be affected. Like when in your 20s, when you're bigger, you get some health issues, but they're not that great that you're really worried about it. But when you get to later ages, you start getting stuff like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart issues. And so when cholesterol issues, liver issues. So when we started seeing some of these things start happening to us, and we realized, we're together right now, and we've already, like, he was 31 when we met, I was 25, so we've already missed like 30 years of his life with me. I don't want to cut it short by...
You said I already missed 30 years of my life.
No, I missed 31 years of your life, right? And so if I want to be around for the next 31,
so sweet.
I have to make sure that I'm healthy enough to be there, and vice versa. And so we had to decide together as a partnership to say, we need to do this if you want to be together, if we want to do vacations, if we want to explore and do things in the world.
And it's funny that he says that because we were both two people that never thought we'd find the person that we'd want to spend the rest of our lives with.
We had both given up on love,
We had both given up on love. We had both given up on being with somebody because, first of all, being gay, there's also the stigma, the stereotype that people
of what
think,
you need to look like, because again, there's a lot of judgment.
The judgmental community, the gay community, as much as people love how flamboyant and outspoken we are, there's a lot of judgment that happens in that community.
How so?
Like the same thing as
you have to look a certain
way.
way.
Completely. We have categories. There's categories that people talk about.
Yeah.
There's like twinks and bears and cubs and this. And you fall depending on
what? Seriously? The gay community is going to be pissed with me. But can you? What does that mean?
I think it's important that people know that.
Like the way I kind of explained it to people is like, if you think about it, there's one. They say that the estimate is there's one person in every 10 people is gay. So if you're going out there and you're saying, I'm looking for someone, it's a lot harder to find someone if you're looking for a certain type. So the gay community, we're very organized. We split ourselves.
We categorize ourselves.
So based on what you prefer and what you're attracted to, you'll say, I'm looking for a bear. And a bear is usually what we used to be.
A bigger guy with hair. Hairy.
I'm considered. That's
what
we're talking about. I'm considered an otter now because I'm a.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's very interesting. The gay community is very interesting. And then there's twinks, which is very thin, young, tall, very thin guys. And then there's jocks, which we all know what a jock is, right? Yeah. The buff gym goers.
I like jocks.
And I like them all.
Yeah, I like a rainbow.
Yeah, we like the rainbow. But the thing is, too, is like it's unfortunate that even in a community that has been ostracized, we ostracize ourselves within a community that we shouldn't be ostracizing ourselves in. But that's the world today. Yeah. That's the world, unfortunately, today. And that really affects people's well-being, and it affects people's mental state, and it affects people's,
That's why we had given up kind of on love at the beginning, because before we had met, I was like, no one's ever wanted to be with me, because I'm a big gay guy, which is not the typical what everybody would want. And so I'm like, no one's going to want to be with me. And so we both given, and then we met online, and it just clicked, and then we've been inseparable ever since.
Yeah.
But,
we literally met online, and we moved in like 2 weeks later, and we've been together ever since.
Not really. I still have my apartment, but most of my stuff was
in my place.
But yeah, it's
And we're best friends. I
Yeah.
think that's what happened right away. We just, when we met, we just realized how much we had in common. And
It's funny because we had lots of differences, but a lot of our differences kind of we melded
it together.
Like he liked very like more
Adult
adult
contemporary.
contemporary music. I was very techno, and now we
4-minute songs, but 3 minutes was the intro, and it was like,
And then-
oh,
but
done.
But we met in the middle. Now I don't
need
listen
lyrics.
to that anymore. He doesn't listen to that anymore. But we're in the middle now. We've everything we've done.
You
We've kind of
compromise.
We do. And I think that's what really ended up happening with this journey as
Yeah.
far as us going on this wellness journey together is we finally figured out what he's good at and what I'm good at, and we made it work for each other
Yeah.
by being each other's
And what you need and what
cheerleaders.
I need.
Yeah.
There's certain things that he needs when we're doing this journey that he needs that needs to happen all the time for him to be successful. And the same with me. I need certain things that need to happen. So he knows, like every January we always do a detox every year because I need to take time for first 3 months of the year where I stop drinking certain alcohol, I stop having pot. There's a few things I remove because it helps me refocus and not get so like cravings that I always have. And so every year we do it, and he does it for me because he doesn't need to do it, but he benefits from it because he also ends up losing a lot of weight from it. So it kind of it's for me, but
And then I'm the one that gets him up in the morning to go to the gym if we need to go to the gym in the morning. I'm
So not a
because
morning
he's not a
person.
morning person at all, and I'm like, boom, ready to go, let's do something.
And I'm like,
My parents came over years ago in the house, and my mom looked at me as she was leaving. She's like, I don't think Nick was happy. I'm like, no, he's just like that every morning. You just don't worry about it. He was fine. And then I tell him later, she's like, oh no, she thought I was mad at her. I'm like, no, you're good, you're good.
I'm not a morning person. I'm like, very happy now, but like at 7 a.m. this morning, actually I was okay
You were
today.
good this morning.
Yeah, I was good this morning because he wasn't feeling too great this morning, so I made sure to be a little happier for him so that he wouldn't feel as bad.
You both have come a long way
We have.
since you started.
Yeah.
Right? Did you ever think that things were gonna turn out like this?
Never.
I mean, when you first started going to WW,
In 2011.
First of all,
In
we didn't think it was
2000
going to happen.
you didn't think
We,
it was.
we
never believed in ourselves.
Never believed in ourselves. Every time we started, we never thought it would succeed, and
Yeah.
every time it didn't. Even this time, we're like, oh, we'll do this.
Even the time where I had lost 71 pounds on one of the multiple times that we like calling ourselves return offenders, I had
Yeah.
finally got to 71 pounds gone. I was almost in, as we like to call, Wonderland. And for some dumb reason, even after I had shed all that weight, I gave up.
Yeah.
And I
we
didn't
gained
believe
all
in
that.
myself, and I gained it all back.
Why did you give up?
It just, I don't know. It just.
I
for
think
some-
I let other things take over. I didn't let myself.
No, because remember we always said we always transformed ourselves to the program or transformed ourselves to what
Tried
society
to change our
tells
lives
us.
instead of adapting our lives to what we
With the
want it to
program.
be.
So for example, like we always use snacking as our example, right? Every time we did program before this time, we quit snacking because we thought that's what the world is telling us. Doctors tells us after 7 p.m. you can't snack. It's bad for you. And then we go a few months, we'd be fine with it, but after a few months we fall right back in the old habits because we like snacking. And so this time we realized we can't do what we've been doing all this time. We have to find a way to still live life like we like it, but tweak it now. Change a few things about it. Keep our snacking, but now plan for it. Still have my poutine that I love, not get rid of it completely, but maybe once a month, or create another version of it that's a lower point version. So we try to play with everything we did to make sure that we still lived our lives, but just better and healthier.
But I also think too that we finally realized that it wasn't about other people, it was about us. We got rid of what other people thought about us.
Yeah.
And finally started to like ourselves for who we were,
Yeah.
and not what other people's perceptions are on us. Because what does RuPaul say? Who cares what other people think about you? You need to love yourself before you can love anybody else, right? Because this is the only person, this is the only body you will ever have.
Yeah.
So you need to learn to love it. You need to learn to respect
care of
it.
it.
You need to take care of it.
Yeah.
It's like a car. If you buy a car, you don't bring it to the mechanics. Don't get your regular oil changes. Don't get your...
You'll be on the side of the road on the 401.
Yeah, and then what are you going to do? Right? So this is the exact same thing. And we never believed that that was true at first. We never believed until finally this time where we now started to surround ourselves with people who were like-minded. And that was a huge part of it, is finding people that knew the struggle and know the struggle, because those are the people that we tend to like congregate with now.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have our friends that we had before, but they've realized a change in
changed
us.
too. Like,
And
they
how
realized
physically we've changed, but mentally we've changed even more so
But
because
that's big, right?
we're more
That's
outgoing
big.
than we used to be.
Yeah.
I've always been an outgoing person, but I was always, I hate to say it, the fat person that knew how to sing or the fat person that liked to be
I was in the
funny.
corner.
And he was always in the back corner over there. He would never even have been sitting with any of you in the audience.
No.
He would have been back shy away in a corner. So by now evolving into our new selves, but yet still having our old selves being part of us, but being proud of what we've accomplished and being proud of what we've succeeded and how we've succeeded.
Yeah.
Even though there are always struggles and there are always, barriers that we have to overcome, knowing that a barrier is just a barrier. And, sometimes you're going to have to hurdle over it, because sometimes you can hurdle over a barrier, but sometimes you're gonna have to climb it, and it takes a little hard. It's a little harder to climb because you're using your own body weight to climb over this hurdle, and falling sometimes is okay. You have to fall, because if you don't fall, you don't learn the
A
lesson.
lot of lessons we learned from doing it multiple times was because we fell
Yep.
so many times. Like there's a lot of stuff we took from every time we done it. And that's why we tell a lot of people about the repeat offenders. Every time you do this, you learn something about yourself. And so when you get to the next time you're doing it again, you learn something last time that you can reincorporate right away. And then when you're doing it again, you learn something else. And so keep learning those lessons and keep incorporating those new things and try to include that to your journey so that you can be successful and you can make it fun and enjoyable, because you're gonna have to do this for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
There's no end date to this. Your end date is when you're in the grave.
Yeah.
That's the end date.
We
of
have the whole YOLO thing. You only live once. I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe you only live once. You live every single day, and you only die once.
Ah, is that good?
Yeah.
You only die once. You live every day, and you have to live it. You
That's really
absolutely
good.
have to live your life,
Yeah.
because if you don't, you're
It'll
not.
just pass by you.
Yeah, you're gonna miss out on so many amazing
Like
opportunities.
what's happened to us in the last 2 years in terms of what we've experienced. The 2 years that we've done so much more than the 10 years before we were together. Because before we did stuff, but it was very
Once a year.
Once a year. We didn't go out much.
No,
were at
we
home
didn't
a lot.
socialize on
Yeah.
Monday through Fridays. We always call them school nights.
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, we're like, we can't go out on a school night. Like, we have to work in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
oh, no
and
way.
Now we do stuff at night sometimes.
Yeah, we'll socialize with friends. Okay, we won't be out till 4 o'clock in the morning. Can't do that anymore. But we'll be out. We'll actually go to dinners. We'll go do an activity. We'll go do a class. We'll do things that we never thought we would have ever have done before. And I think that's just because we believe in ourselves for once.
Ah, that's so good.
Yeah.
What does self-compassion mean to you?
Self-compassion means taking care of yourself, to me, like loving yourself and taking care of yourself, so you're making sure that what you're doing in any situation, your decisions you're making, is to benefit you, to try to improve yourself, your wellness, your health. And that's why I say self-compassion. That's like loving yourself.
And I want to say loving yourself, but forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
A huge part of self-compassion is forgiving yourself.
Always thinking yourself as not the obstacle, but yourself as you're not an obstacle, but you're always the number one person in what you're trying to do. You can't expect yourself to be perfect all the time, but even when you're not perfect, you still should love yourself no matter
There's no
what.
such thing as perfection.
Like you might eat that cake.
There's no such thing as perfection.
What? I thought I was.
Yes, honey, you're perfect. Perfect for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perfection is
In the
eyes of the beholder,
Yeah.
right? Like, we all have this, I don't know, I think it's society puts on what we think perfect needs
Should
to
be.
be, but there's no cookie cutter. Again, there's no, if we were all the same,
Life would be
how
boring.
life would be boring.
It would be.
Oh my
boring.
God.
And,
Can you
I
imagine?
honestly am a
Everybody
firm
likes
believer.
potatoes
Yeah.
and steak. That's it. So that's all we grow in the world: potatoes and steak. That'd be really boring.
That's too many points.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, unless you're on purple and potatoes are. Anyways, but yeah,
We're
that's a whole.
hoping everybody who's watching this is WW.
Yeah.
Some are.
Because we're using a lot of the WW terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right?
But I think what ends up happening too is when we look at a society and we look at what we are, we need to to accept people for their differences in order to grow,
Yeah.
in order to learn, and in order to adapt. Because as human beings, we need to adapt to the
Yeah.
changes, especially nowadays where everything
Things
is
changes,
instant. We don't want it tomorrow. We wanted it 3 days
There was
ago.
no iPhones 10 years ago.
Yeah. And
think
so
about it,
this
right?
journey of
I can't
loving,
even
Can you
imagine life
imagine?
without cell phones.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you
Like,
think
how
about
did
it,
we survive?
she hurt herself right before Christmas. And I asked her last weekend we were there, I'm like, did you ever think that you'd be able to call your sister on a thin little device with a video and actually talk to your sister? Never. She's like, that is mind-blowing to me. And if it wasn't for something like that, as much as technology can hinder our lives, it is somewhat beneficial as well.
Everything can hinder or benefit anyone. You
Yeah,
can use
it depends on how you
anything.
use it.
It's how you use it. Anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My aunt who lives in Iran, she's 86 years old and she has an Instagram account.
Wow, good for
awesome.
her.
Like,
Can she teach me? 'Cause I don't-
I'm blown away.
But that's what it is. I think we as human beings need to learn to adapt, and we need to learn to accept.
And need to learn how to try new things.
Yeah.
And change
Explore.
sometimes needs to happen, and you have
We
to
can't
try.
live in a world with blinders on.
Yeah.
We need to open up the blinders to embrace what we have and not take things for granted.
Just love you guys. Okay, so like this is what happened to you because you started embracing what
Yep.
was happening to you, and look at you now. Like I'm just so happy where you are. Honestly, like you are ambassadors.
Don't
with
get me wrong.
WW.
Yeah.
You're making it sound like we only have good days. We have our bad days
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
We
have
do
that.
No,
have
you
bad
don't.
days.
No,
We
you
do.
don't.
Because you know what?
We don't want to hear.
But you know what? I think we need to talk about that because that's such an important part
Yeah,
of the
no,
journey.
for
A
sure.
lot of the reasons that
Yeah.
people like following us, they say, is because we don't.
Our honesty.
We don't hide.
Yeah.
Like we've had a week where I gained 10 pounds. I tell people I
Yeah.
gained 10 pounds.
And if we have ordered Chinese food because we felt like eating Chinese food,
Absolutely.
we ate
we
it.
tell people because we don't want to be.
We don't believe in making, because again, social media can really trick the mind
Yeah.
and make you think these people are leading these perfect, beautiful lives.
and nothing ever goes wrong.
And nothing goes wrong. But that's not what life is all
No,
about,
no,
right?
No, but the reason people love you is just that because you are so comfortable with yourselves and you got nothing to hide. You said we're
Yeah,
open books.
yeah,
So
we-
Dela, you can talk about whatever
Anything.
you want
Yeah,
to talk
we
about.
talk about everything.
If someone asks me the question, it's because they really want to know an answer. And what is it going to be to give them like a sugar-coated answer just to make them, I'm sorry, but some questions can be
What's
uncomfortable.
funny is I remember when we first joined WW in Brampton, and we were the first for a lot of these ladies, first gay people they even interacted with, and they had so many questions. We're like, oh, just ask us anything. We don't
Who's
care.
the man? Who's the woman?
Yeah, we get that.
And, like, honestly,
Yeah.
who does the cooking? Who does this? And we're like, I've never really thought of that stuff before,
I do
right?
laundry
And I do
because I like it. I love doing laundry. So
But it's those things that, I think as a community, we need to share more. And it doesn't matter which community you fall under. It's just about sharing is caring. And sharing really makes people grow.
and think and accept. Like I think a lot of fears we have in the world is because we don't know the
Yep.
unknown.
And
But
we're
if people
afraid to
talk-
ask questions.
But if people talking about it and you think, oh, that person's just like me, it's just now they do this instead. Oh, okay, and then you can get that common ground.
Why is it that when you see someone who is of a different religion, who might have a hijab on or something, why, if you don't understand it, there's nothing wrong with saying, tell me about it. Explain it to me. Why do you do this? I was working with someone who was, oh my goodness, why can't I, was Jewish. And she was honest with me and told me she had a wig on because Orthodox Jew. And she explained it to me. And I told her, I said, I'm not trying to be insulting. I want to know so I cannot make the mistake in insulting somebody else without knowing. And if we don't ask the questions, how can we not know?
And when you don't know, that's when you fear.
Uh-huh.
Or you assume.
Or you assume.
Or you assume.
And what does assume mean?
Right?
I won't say it, but yeah.
You could say it.
An ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
Right? Don't assume. Never
Donkey.
assume.
Yeah.
Donkey.
Yeah.
A donkey out of you and me. That doesn't, it's not to say.
I look at you guys and I feel like you have this heart that's filled with gratitude. And that's a big thing, I think, for us to live joyful lives.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you believe in a gratitude attitude?
I
Yeah.
do.
We-
Paying it forward.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we do
Started our
this.
channel.
That's why we started our channel.
And it's funny because you said, I can't believe I've been doing this for 6 months. And now we're like, I can't believe we've been doing this for almost a year and a half.
Almost 2
2
years.
years now, which is mind-blowing to us because it seems like a
And it's-
blink of an eye.
And it's not like we didn't start it to get here. Like it's not like we started the channel because we're gonna tour with WW and we do that. And no, it was like people needed the help. We wanted to show them what we did, and so we shared it, and then it became what it became.
And we wanted to be real life examples of success.
Because we always found that was one of the things we always missed on each time we did this before. We didn't have examples. We got the tools, we got this is what you can do, this is that, but we like, okay, yeah, but how do I maneuver that now? And so we never felt that we have somebody that we can always relate to see, this is what they did, okay, maybe I can do this or try that. And so we felt like sharing our story and sharing other people's, because we also, oftentimes we share stuff we've heard from other people that we don't do, but we just share it because there's someone else out there might want to try it, we just let people know. And now we feel like that's given other people their own ideas and ways to do their things, and then they're sharing more what they're doing. It's creating a community of everybody sharing and being gracious and helping each other out. Like we have a Facebook group, and that's what it's all about. It's about sharing and helping everybody out, supporting people, being positive. And we feel that one of the main things to be successful is positivity.
Positivity.
If the one thing you need to walk away from anytime you meet us, it's you need to be positive.
Try to make anything negative in your
positive.
life positive.
Yeah, any way you can.
And grow from it, because it can change you. Like in the first time in 40, I'll be 43 in April, and for the first time in my life, I can say I love myself.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a good place to be.
First
right?
time in my life, I can finally
Yeah.
say I love myself.
I've always loved him, but
Aw.
apparently it didn't count.
Yeah, but it's different when other
Yeah.
people love you. But when you finally
Yeah.
figure out that you love yourself and that you need to put yourself first,
Yeah.
it's not being selfish.
No.
It's being real.
Yeah.
Because if you don't truly love yourself, you can't love anybody.
No, you can't love anybody. You can't love life.
You can't enjoy
You
life.
can't enjoy life.
Yeah. Because we know we didn't enjoy life before. Like we realize now our lives before we did all this was, it was our it's not like we didn't have fun while we were like those 8 years we were together before that we lost all the weight, but or the 10 years. 10 years.
Something like that.
I'm like,
We've been together for 12 now,
yeah,
so it's like,
math. But
We're all
but,
married
yeah,
I know.
we sometimes feel like it.
Yeah. But our lives are night and day now compared to what they were before, and we feel that that's why we try to share with people, because like if you can just you have a finite time on earth, you have a finite time to enjoy yourself, to do these experiences, to travel, to see things, to see your children grow, to why not try to make it the best time of your life and make it enjoyable.
And I look at my parents who retired and did some traveling, and we talked about it multiple times and saying, why are we waiting till we're done work to do things that we can do now?
Why
do
do
now.
we wait till we're tired?
Yes.
Right?
Why
to
do we wait?
the things
And
we
then-
love to do?
Exactly. Do it now. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of your youth. Take advantage of your life. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. You can, if you are in your 70s and you want to go travel, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Make your life what you want it to be. Don't let anybody else tell you what your life should be. Don't let anybody tell you what your mental state should be. You are the only one in control. You are the driver in that seat. And honestly, that is a huge, huge, huge lesson, is to honestly believe in yourself and trust yourself, love yourself, and respect yourself.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker, like for two people to be truly happy together, they have to be self-sufficiently happy inside. Otherwise it won't work.
No.
You can't expect somebody else to make you happy.
Yeah, no. We do make, like, he does make me happy a lot, and
Yeah.
vice versa,
Yeah.
because like I can't like, we're literally together all the time. Like we
Yeah.
don't like if
We
could-
work for the same company, so we drive to work together once a week.
Once a week, yeah.
Once a week. We pull into the parking lot. Back in the day, we'd go to separate buildings in the same, separate offices in the same building. Log onto our computers and say,
How was your walk?
How was your walk to your? How was your walk to your desk?
Send us an email saying, I love your videos. I love that you guys are trying to teach people how to travel and be healthy. Would you guys want to do this in the future? Have people come travel with you to see how you guys travel and teach them how you go.
I replied to her going, I only get 3 weeks of vacation per year.
Okay.
How is this going to work? Like in my mind, she's like,
no, it can happen whenever, so you guys can take your time when you want to do it. So we kind of put it off to the side. And then last fall, we reached out to Carlson Wagonlit, who were traveling. And by the way, Weight Watchers members, you guys can get a $100 voucher on your wellness wins. So,
Don't tell anybody.
so she reached out. We reached out to them, and originally we had planned a cruise for this fall. But we found out from a lot of people the cruise was too long, the time of year was off, and so we changed it. So basically, we are announcing, this is actually like the second day we had the flyer. So it's Celebrity Apex, the newest ship from Celebrity Cruises.
They're still building it right
they're
now.
still building it right now. We're partnering with them and Carlson Wagonlit Vacations, and we're going on a cruise in the Caribbean in 2021.
And so what we are going to be doing on this cruise is talking about wellness and talking about, how you can live your life but still enjoy it while you're away. Because how many people fear going on vacation when they're on a wellness journey?
Yeah.
They're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to go away for a week and I know I'm going to come back and I'm going to have gained 12 pounds, especially on a cruise.
We get off track.
And honestly, we did 2 cruises last year. I maintained Lifetime on one of them and lost 7 pounds on another on a cruise. And I still enjoyed myself. Every single moment I had drinks, I had food, but it's called balance. And it's finding that balance, and it's
so we're planning on during this cruise. We're going to have seminars, workshops, activity. We actually the cruise told us that they have an actual built scavenger hunt for the ships, and so they're actually going to let us borrow that. So that'll be an activity that we can do.
Yeah.
So all these ideas we want to get maybe pedometers.
I want to do an improv night where we do
karaoke.
improv.
Maybe we'll do Dela's voice off the
That
ship.
would be fantastic. We could totally do Dela's voice on the ship. Exactly.
Hashtag Oprah meet Dela.
Yeah. Hashtag WWGays meet Dela. Meet Dela. Oh, we did. We met you. Yay.
But that's it. So if you guys want any details, it's all on our Facebook page. So I'm pretty sure it's linked to the video. So if you look for WWE Gays, it'll have all the details. I'm hoping sometime this week because I'm waiting to finish our last vacation videos, and I will release this last. So coming out soon.
What's really cool about this too is if you look at Celebrity Cruises, they are huge supporters of the LGBTQ2+ community. And so partnering with a cruise line that is supporting us. And just recently, on the last cruise, which is the new video that is going to be coming out, we renewed our vows on the cruise ship on Valentine's Day. So we renewed, and it was all filmed. Yeah, they filmed it for us, which was great. It was so cool to be amongst. It was hashtag biggest cruise, biggest bow renewal on the sea, and so there was all the ships that were out at sea did a vow renewal on Valentine's Day.
Gosh, that's awesome.
For celebrity.
And we were wearing matching shirts, and it was
like
fun.
there's so much fun. Who doesn't want to be like on vacation with these two guys?
We'll bring you guys elevator dancing.
Yeah, elevator dancing.
It's the best in the whole wide world.
Like I could talk to these guys forever, but
likewise,
we've been talking for a long time. I actually have another guest I want to bring on, and it's a friend of yours.
A friend,
right? So this woman, she does something that's really cool and kind of new to me. Please, everybody, help me welcome Tracy Franklin. You sit here.
Do you want us to go get the boots on?
Pardon?
Do you want us to get the boots on?
She's gonna get us to put the boots on.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Boots on, absolutely.
Right? Okay, so Tracy, I'm gonna go move over here.
I got you out of your seat.
No, switch over. I'm gonna sit with you.
Back in the day, my butt was big,
Look
so.
at that.
There was somebody over there that wanted to share their lap too.
I think everybody. Okay, so Tracy Franklin.
Yes.
Welcome to Dela's Voice.
Thank you for having
being
me.
here.
Yes.
This is so much fun. I'm so looking forward to trying these on. But tell us a little bit about what these boots do. What are they called, first of all?
These are called Kangoo Jump Rebound Boots, and they actually were originally made in Sweden because a sports athlete had an injury, and they couldn't exercise traditionally anymore because they hurt too much. So they created this system where they have a spring in the middle here. So what this does is it takes the impact out of your joints when you're exercising. So you don't feel the pain, especially the next day, which is really, really nice.
I can attest to that.
Yes,
It's
you
fun
feel no
too.
pain, and it's a lot of fun. The minute you put them on, you're engaged. Your legs are engaged. Your butt's engaged. Your core is engaged. The minute that you start moving in them,
That's awesome.
it's so much fun.
And so you run classes out of your place
In
in
Newmarket.
Newmarket?
Yep.
Where is it? What's it called?
So I'm Kangoo Club Kicks, and I'm just on Pony Drive, 160 Pony Drive, Unit 5A, and we have classes for beginners, for people that have never put the boots on before. That's called Kangoo Basics, and that usually runs Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on my schedule at the hospital. And then we also have more intermediate advanced classes, and those are on Mondays and Tuesdays. And we also have Saturday classes as well for beginners and advanced. Yeah, so
Tracy's a nurse at the hospital.
I am
Emergency room.
operating room.
Operating room.
Operating room, cardiac surgery. Yay.
So we know if
Also
anybody is
saves
feeling
lives.
anything, we're good.
That's my day job. This is my passion.
Yeah.
Do you do them in your boots? Can you imagine running around the hospital in your boots?
Boots for us to try
I
today?
did.
Okay,
Go get
so
the
I'm gonna get, you go get the boots, and did you bring boots for these guys too?
I did,
Oh my
I
god.
I
Okay,
can't wait because it's so much fun
so
when you
we're
put them
gonna
on.
put the boots on, and then we're gonna get Jean-Luc to sing us a song.
I'm gonna try to sing a song because I don't know how well it's going to sound.
Because, ooh, which ones are me?
These are you.
Okay, right there.
Alright.
Yes.
These are me.
They're like ski boots, remember?
So the nice thing about these boots,
There's
Memories with skiing.
the nice thing about the boots is this is a hard shell. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're gonna fall on your ankle." It's actually physically impossible to fall on your ankle in these boots because of this being a hard shell. The other thing is,
how tight do you go again?
just the first one you don't want to go too tight.
I wore my mom's when I was a kid.
Me too.
I wanted to be Wonder Woman.
My mom had these, you know, like in the 70s, they had those, what do you call them, the platforms?
Platforms?
The platforms,
Oh,
yeah.
they were awesome.
There
Okay.
you go. So, you stand up first. You up. So, you want to keep your knees soft and your knees. You don't want to put it like a board. You want to keep them
On my
soft.
heels,
Your foot will be flat.
it's not flat. I feel like I have a lot of room in the back and the front, but we're good.
Yeah, they're not meant to be snug fitting at all.
Hold me.
Yeah, they're not meant to be snug fitting.
These guys.
But as you can see, the minute you put them on, you start moving.
I will be like,
You don't want to stand
It's really
still.
hard to stand still.
So, how about it? Lead us in the song?
Oh my goodness, what do you want me to say?
Something with a pep
Oh my
in your
goodness,
step.
something with a pep.
I don't
I'm
know.
not a peppy singer.
Yeah, he's like a ballad. He's like a slow dance.
What's your favorite song?
Well, I usually do like You Raise Me Up, or I do.
Oh, you did a good job with that.
I don't know how it's gonna sound today, but I can
Okay.
try.
All right, let's try.
Okay. When I am down, and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait for you in the silence until you come and bounce around with me.
Hey, you guys, this is a lot of fun.
You see? Look at her now.
Now she's not even holding on to me
Yeah.
anymore.
You just, it's so funny
But
because
I don't want that never when I'm wearing like when I wear anything, I just want one thing. I don't know why.
I think it's because you're higher up.
I think so too. I don't get it.
So you do some moves. I've seen you do some moves.
So in the beginner class, we basically stay low a lot. And so I teach you the moves, like we just do like a little heel, little heel, right? And what you're working to, as you get better, you start to bounce.
Take it easy, girl. And then you start adding the
And then we
arms.
start adding the arms, we start to travel. So we all start low and go up high, low, high. That's how we do the beginner class. And then the more advanced class, you're doing a continuous 45 minutes of bouncing.
Do you want to try?
So these are really great for the lymphatic system. It gets the lymphatic system going. You'll find you sweat a lot more with it because it's actually working.
Burning a lot
And
of
you burn
calories.
a lot of
Does this look
calories.
like fun?
It's so much fun.
So much fun.
It's so much fun. Each boot is 3 pounds each, so you burn more calories in them.
Because you're lifting more
And you
weights,
also
right?
get more oxygen when you're doing it because it's weight on your leg. So that's another reason why you burn more calories. And you also tone the legs and everything.
derriere.
It's like a whole workout in a bag. Like it really is a whole workout
See,
in a
look
bag.
at you. It's so funny because when you first put them on, I remember the first time I put
We're
them
like,
on, I thought I
oh.
was going to topple forward, and you don't. You don't topple forward at all.
And
You
if you've
just-
already done activity classes, like we found, like we do a lot of classes, like just general classes of activity. You kind of learn from those how to do this one because it's very similar moves. Just now you're higher up on these boots and you just have to, your core ends up working a bit more too. I find.
It's your whole body
Yeah,
works.
I
We do
can
arms,
see it.
we do core, we do legs, we do bum, we do everything.
I'm someone who has knee problems a lot. My knees used to hurt even more when I was bigger.
Yeah.
But now, when I did this twice, I couldn't believe my knees didn't hurt when I was done the next day. My back didn't hurt when I was done the next day. But if I'm doing a regular fitness class on the ground with regular running shoes, I'm in pain the next day because of the impact that I'm pushing on the bottoms of my feet is impacting my entire body. But with this,
Yeah, that's
The impact
beauty
is
of the
absorbed.
spring in the middle, right?
Yeah.
That's what takes the impact out, is that spring in the middle. And I'll tell you how I got into these. So many years ago in my younger days, I actually was a long distance runner, and I was training for a half marathon, and found out I had cancer. So I went through chemotherapy and all the drugs and everything else, and had major surgery and stuff like that. So when I came out of that, at the end of my journey, I couldn't run anymore. Everything hurt. Arms, legs, hips, all 9 yards. So I saw an ad for these, and I thought, okay, we'll try it and see. Can't hurt, right? So I went to the first class, and I had no pain the next day, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I have no pain, right? So then I thought, okay, it's a one-off, it's a flick, right? Then I went back to another class, same thing, no pain, and I've never looked back.
So you found it.
I found it,
You
and
found
I've never
your
looked back.
activity.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks so.
And,
This is so
and the music you
fun.
picked
And you
too is so
can't-
much
yeah.
fun.
well,
Yeah.
not only that.
Stop moving.
No,
It's
exactly.
See, you're running.
Yeah, look at that.
And you just started today. You know what I mean?
Just
Like,
started 5 minutes
yeah,
ago.
you know what I mean? Like,
I wonder if we can use this for kickboxing.
You actually, I do teach a kick and punch class. Every once in a while, I kind of bring it back. So I do some boxing moves in the class as well for people that are.
At Christmas
A
time,
little more
she had,
something,
at Christmas time, she had Christmas dance music.
Oh,
so
no way,
she was like,
that's a lot of
"Oh,
fun."
I wonderful Christmas
Yeah.
is you." I remember that one. That's
Yeah.
one of them we did.
It's, and the most of the thing about it is you put them on, you feel like a kid again.
They
Yeah.
do.
You just want to have fun, like you're on a trampoline.
And I'll say this feels a lot safer than being on a trampoline.
Yes, I broke
Yeah,
my
I
leg.
do. I totally feel a lot safer on this than on a trampoline.
So
Yeah,
when calls you don't look back. I think that'd be fun. Don't look back.
Don't look back.
No, because you might fall.
No,
No?
oh, well, we don't look back usually when we're doing this, just because we're all, like, I have mirrors in the studio, so we're staring at what I'm doing in the mirror, so I've never had anyone look back really, but
Okay.
I don't think
So,
we do.
just show us one move and let's all do it so that we can finish up with that.
Some exercise
What-
before we
Yeah.
head
Well,
off.
like
That's
all,
right.
all four of us, like, you know, like, okay. So what were you showing us?
Well, we could do, let's do the heel jacks again.
Okay.
So, together, out, together, out, together, out, together.
See, you ready? Ready to go.
Thank you, everybody.